Welcome back. This is the fourth session. Yeah, this is the fourth session, sure. And Andy, where are you? You can stand right next to me because I'm just going to hand over the mic to you. The next play presented is called Dying in the Now, and it was written by Andy Colombo.
Hello, I'm Andy Colombo. So I'm going to ask, just for a second, if you can enter into an exercise with me. I promise I'm not going to do anything too weird with you. But just for a second, if you can do me a favor and just close your eyes. If you're not comfortable doing that, you can just focus on something that is not interesting to look at. And if you can all just take a deep breath in for me, all together, in. And exhale. This is more for me than for you. Inhale. And exhale. One more. Inhale and exhale. And keeping your eyes closed, I want you to think back to a memory from your past, a distant memory, as far back as you can go in this moment, a good memory. It's important that it's good. So think of something that gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling, whatever it is. And then I want you to sit for a second in the moment, feel that memory, and try to figure out if there are any senses associated with it. So does it sound like something? Does it taste like something? Is there a texture associated with the memory? Is there a smell? Often it's smell. Whatever the thing is, just sit there with the moment, try to remember the specificity of that memory. Let the fuzzy feeling be in your body. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So when I was writing Dying in the Now, I did this exercise a lot. I also conducted over 30 interviews with people about early memories. So I spoke, I think, over 40 hours to people, all about early memories and sense and the ways they remember things, how they feel about remembering and forgetting. I've actually got someone in the audience today who was part of the interview process. So the play is really based on a memory I have and a place full of memories for me. When I was 21, I had this experience of packing up my grandmother's house, my Oma. And she had very bad Alzheimer's. She didn't remember anything anymore, and she wasn't able to live alone anymore. So we had this very devastating and terrible experience of packing up someone's house, going into a place that's filled with all these cozy, lovely, warm memories, like you just remembered now, and then stripping it down to where there's only just the box on the floor where my opa's chair was for 40 years, where the carpet still looks new underneath, but that's it. So I held that, and I wanted to write a play about it, but I wasn't ready. And then in 2020, everything went very badly for independent artists, as I'm sure you know. And we ended up not having work. Well, I ended up not having work, and I decided it was time to write this play. So I sat down and I applied for the Woordfees Writing Lab that year. I waited about a month. My Oma passed away. And a week later, I got a phone call from Sarki Botha. You got into the lab, which felt like some kind of cosmic joke, like, why would you do that to me? But it was very good for me to write through the grief, and so I did. So it's a play that's not about my family, but it is a play that has my Oma in it very strongly, so it's really, really important to me. The play, it centers around a character called Carla and a character called Seb. Carla is a 25-year-old writer. She lives in Cape Town. She hasn't been home in about 7 years. And she comes home after her Oma's passed away for her funeral and to pack up the house. Her Oma had struggled with Alzheimer's. So she comes home and she re-encounters Sebastian or Seb or Bassi, whoever's speaking to him, depends on the name. And he has stayed. So he stayed with Oma. He studied in this little Afrikaans town, and he's stayed behind and he looked after Oma. So the extract you're about to see is scene 4. It's kind of after we've had the first meeting, we've had some monologues. We've actually, in this extract, we spliced a little bit of an early monologue into the extract to give you an idea of the different styles operating in the piece. And yeah, so that's the extract you're going to be seeing today. I think why this play is important. I think it's important to say why it's important. So here we go, I'm going to tell you. Firstly, the play obviously deals with a lot of really universal themes, right? I know everyone says that, but it's true. So it deals with loss and love, family, language. The play right now is existing in English, but when we finally do the play, I'd like to take Seb's monologues and translate them all into Afrikaans. So you'll see now Philip very kindly translated a monologue for us to see today. And it also talks about grief, and I think that's why the play is important right now. I think post-COVID and when we're moving towards a post-COVID world, a lot of us have engaged with grief in the last 3 years in a way we hadn't before. And those of us who'd been lucky not to lose someone close to us often have. There's been a lot of loss. And I think the play, what I was really interested when I was looking at grief and the play is how it interacts with memory. So when you are grieving, there's both fear and a seeking of memory. You want to remember the person you loved. You want to hold on to these things as tight as you can. You want to piece together, when was the last time we spoke? Did I tell you I loved you? How did I interact with you that time? Did I call you enough? Did I not call you enough? Why didn't I go home? And in the same way, there's also a fear of memory. So in my experience, memory kind of can hit you like a sledgehammer. You're packing away someone's stuff, and you're fine. You see their favorite cup, and the bottom drops out of the world, right? You're just lost in this memory, and time wraps around that moment, and it could be an hour or 15 hours, but it's only really a minute. So in the way I've experimented with the style in the play, there are two different types of liminality that we're working with. The first is like a liminal dream space of addressing Omar and the characters talking to themselves. And the second is a dream space which engages directly with memory, and you're going to see both of them in the play today. The memory space is really about trying to find a theatrical way to explain that moment of the bottom dropping out of the world when you're just stuck on something and deeply engaging with that painful memory. So yeah, the play is really lighthearted, as you can tell. But it's really looking at memory and fear of forgetting and fear of remembering and a seeking for forgetting, wanting to forget and wanting to remember as well. So that's the play. I want to say a quick thank you to Philip and Celeste and Dean for taking on the extract. It's very, very, very special and important to me. I want to say thank you to Teksmark. I want to say thank you to Kakanka. I wanted to say thank you to Sarki Buerta and Janice Honeyman, who mentored me through the first couple drafts of the text. We're on draft 9 now, so it's still going. And I also want to say a special thank you to the 30 people I interviewed. And most especially, I want to just dedicate this text, I think, to grandmothers. And to my own grandmother, Antoinetta Veronica Colombo. She was a very, very special woman, and she loved very deeply, and I'm so, so grateful to have been loved by her and to have loved her. And yeah, I want to say thank you to you for coming out today, and I hope you enjoy.
Oma? We're condensing everything here. Bringing it down to manageable boxes. What about this is manageable? That we can cart away, one at a time. This entire lifetime, all these tiny worlds withering. The place I lived in, the place I became Carla, too. Closing up. Dying, too. Just one box at a time. But you're still here, Ohms. I can feel you holding the in-between spaces here, couch arm to couch arm, in the brackets of empty air above shelves, in the cavernous stale oven, in every pot and pan, in the well of every crystal glass that you displayed but never drank from. And you're in me too, somehow. In the space between the hairs on my forearm and the skin beneath. It still smells like you in here. Hello? I have a taser!
What?
Get the fuck out! Jesus, Max.
Sorry, I have a key. Is that your taser?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
It's 3 a.m.
Yeah, sorry. I'll go.
Are you okay? Wait, have you been drinking?
No? Just a bit.
And you drove here?
I know what you're gonna
That
say.
is so irresponsible, Bussy.
Don't call me that.
Well, don't change the subject.
I know, okay, I'll go.
You promised me.
What?
When you were 17, you promised me.
No, I don't
You
need
did?
to-
You promised.
Yeah, Carla.
You borrowed my car, the one Oprah gave me, you remember?
I don't wanna get
You
into
borrowed my
this.
car and you crashed into that pot plant.
Yeah.
The one outside of the church, that big, heavy one.
Yeah.
And the airbags exploded in your face
Yeah.
and your nose was bleeding and you promised me never to drink and drive again.
but you don't-
You know what happened to my mom,
You don't
Max?
need to tell me what to do anymore, Carla. Anyway, I fixed that car that
It wasn't
time.
about the car.
Isn't it? Isn't it? Wasn't it about the car that your Opa left you that I smashed up?
No, Bussy, I wasn't even driving it, remember? It was about your nose. I didn't want you to get hurt again, and I didn't want you to hurt anyone else either. I didn't want you to die, like... It's just fucking dangerous.
Well, don't swear.
Fuck.
You don't have to swear to me.
Say it, I dare you. Double dare you. Such a goody tissue.
Jy het gedink ek is 'n skelm?
Don't look familiar in the dark anymore.
Oh, anymore. You're not in Cape Town. The last crime that happened here was when Frikkie stole Hans's sheep when he
He
was...
was drunk,
Yeah.
and then he woke up in his bedroom licking his face.
It's quiet here, eh?
Just crickets. She's really gone this time.
Yeah, she is.
I couldn't sleep.
I keep dreaming about her.
Oma. Me too. I'm trying to write everything down. To remember, I'm scared of forgetting.
Your dream?
Just everything. Last time I came home, she kept losing my name and calling me Ella. I stopped explaining to her that I wasn't my mom, that Ella died years ago. She would get too upset. I should have known then to write everything down. It's genetic. I worry about.
There's peace there, somewhere. And Oma got there eventually. There's something beautiful about it, you know. Sy het net laat gaan.
I wouldn't have anyone to look after me. I'm not like Oma.
Well, you chose to go, Carla.
Why don't you call me by my nickname anymore?
Lala.
Yeah.
It's from before.
Tipsy. strangers now.
Yeah.
That's sad. Was it bad at the end?
Ek was 7 toe Carla hiernatoe gekom het. Ek het gestaan en gekyk hoe sy by die huis op die hoek intrek. 1 of 2 klein tassies het 'n ou station wagon het gelei. Ja, pink skoentjies aan haar voete en 'n Polly Pocket styf in haar hand vasgeklem.
Sessie?
Sy was klein. Ek het onmiddellik ouer gevoel, maar mens trotsvol om 7 te wees. Hy 7 was soos 'n badge of honor op jou borskas.
Sessie?
Ons altyd was maar skrikkerig toe ons mekaar gemeet het op die sypaadjie. Dit het geruik soos oggendmis en gras wat pas gesny is. En toe sy hallo sê, toe was haar stem blaar as wat ek verwag het. En ek het niks gesê nie. Ek het net skamerig weggeskuifel, hy trots net so weg. Dapperheid ingesluk, maar ten spyte van my verskriktheid was sy van toe af in my lewe.
Sessie,
What?
was it bad at the end?
She kept calling me Caro.
He didn't come to visit.
Nope.
You're still a favorite kid though, youngest. He shouldn't call you Jaco.
Wow, dat roep in 'n insult. Hey, Jaco, soet jy mekaar.
Ugh, I never got it. I thought the eldest son was supposed to be praised. My family's so weird.
Jaco didn't RSVP to the funeral either.
How do you know that?
I called him, he didn't answer.
He's happy to take all the stuff though. I'm sure he put up a fight for the best stuff too.
I saw you find your dinners.
I can't believe she kept it, but I'm glad she did. It was my last gift from my mom.
Yeah, she kept everything.
I found her sun hat this morning. Do you remember I used to sit outside on summer mornings with this enormous hat on and a cup of rooibos tea in the one hand and that white bumpy plastic
and she used to cut watermelon slices, net sulke dik
Yeah.
slices. You must broke a chair, didn't you? You were 15 years
I was
old.
jumping between them for a bed with Nina.
Yeah, the soda stream with
Cream soda, yeah, with those weird plastic reusable ice cubes, and she would get so cross when I put them in my mouth.
And wimpy on a
Sunday
Sunday.
after church with flapjacks.
She always used to let me come also.
See, we both know she loved you like she was your actual Oma. And that was her love language. You know, if you were sick, it was chicken soup.
Yeah.
Sad, cupcakes. On a Sunday,
It's oxtail, yeah. And even later, she used to put water on the stove as if she was going to make something. I used to find it just salting boiling water.
That's not funny.
Yeah, it was. I had to hide the pots.
That's not funny.
It was. You had to find the humor in it, maar jy sal nie verstaan nie. Ja. I didn't mean it like that, Carl.
Being away is... You kind of think that nothing will change. Things will wait for you to come home. Everything will stay the same.
Well, we're not all side characters in your story, Carla. Life goes on.
Maybe I'm just really shit at this thing.
What thing?
This loving thing. You're good at it.
Yeah. I loved you for a long time. I did.
I know. Thank you for everything. I didn't know you were so involved here. I could have come at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not, but thank you.
Like you said, it was kind of like my Oma too. Okay.
Cockies!
I'm gonna walk, it will sober me up.
Is it closed?
Night?
Wait, is it closed?
Night, love.
Night, Bussy.
Philip, are you joining us? I don't know. I think Andy, it feels as if Andy needs you next to her. Ja, ek dink so ons gaan bring nou nog 'n stoel. Thanks, Deventia. Dien gaan jy hier so sit? Nee, daai bankie is vir volgende. Dis jou bankie nie? Ek kan hier kom sit. Thank you, everyone. Oh, thank you. Okay. And I just want to say that the only way I can kind of summarize what I saw, what I felt, or it's like you, soft and gentle, but oh so strong, and with that, it's amazing. It's so beautiful. Just give us a little bit of context quickly. The specific scene, where in the play,
Sure.
Is it, and just. Whatever you can tell us about where it's going towards the end of the play, etc., etc.
Sure. So this is scene 4. Scene 1 is a monologue. So you saw a bit of the monologue in the beginning that Carla was doing, or Celeste, sorry. And then scene 1, they encounter each other for the first time again. So there's quite a lot of animosity from Seb's side, particularly. And then we have like a monologue section, which is like a dream section where they're both talking about dreams. Then we have the scene. And then over the next, how many scenes is my play? 7. So there's 7 scenes. So the next couple scenes, we find them carrying on, packing up, and then the day of the funeral. And then that's the end. I don't know how much else I should say.
Well, as much as you want to say. And it's, how many characters?
Just 2. Yeah, just the 2 of them.
Yeah. Andy, and I mean, it's so weird. You were talking about, in the beginning, about, good memories, whatever. All I could think of, because you and Philip, it's in the same, like, right here with me, was the horrible memory of phoning you guys in 2021 after the second kind of stop-start of a production we did together. And it would have opened in 2020, and then in 2021 somewhere we picked it up, ready to go and to perform like 2 shows here in Cape Town, and then lockdown came again, and we couldn't do it, and I had to make that call to you, Andy. I think the horrible memories.
Sorry.
No, but that's those memories we want to forget.
Yeah.
I think you've put it beautifully in context right in the beginning of what this play is about, what you're trying to say. So I don't have a lot of questions, except that I really think the writing is beautiful. And I want to ask Philip to just maybe, Philip, you've worked with Andy in kind of a different capacity, but you've read some of her previous scripts, and you had and obviously this landed on your table as Andy's preferred director for it. Just your comments on how you perceived the play and when you read it. And
I didn't know what to expect before receiving the script. I agreed because it's Andy, and we've worked together before a lot. I was really impressed with the script. I think it's sort of in my wheelhouse, I think, as a director in terms of the themes, but also sort of a variety of styles that the play has. I think what impressed me most about the script was that the beats and the subtext and all of those sort of writerly things were very, very clear in the script, and the relationship between the 2 characters as well, I think, which we saw in the extract today. The chemistry is sort of written into the script, and obviously these 2 brought some of their own as well. And we chose this scene in particular because I thought those 2 things were clearly displayed in this scene. So the very defined push and pull between the 2 characters, layered with the ever-present grief that runs throughout the play, and the tense relationship between them. So I think it's draft 9, you said, yeah? And it shows. It's not a first or a second draft. Clearly, work has been put into it, yeah.
And just interestingly enough, I mean, I know when I phoned Andy to ask her, you know, who do you want to be involved in this, etc. I mean, it was the second, and she emailed and she said, these 2 actors, can she get them, please? So, Andy, just quick question, and I want to hear from them. Why did you specifically have, because you had them in mind?
Yeah.
When you were writing, or later on, or when did Dean and Celeste became your muses?
mean, yeah, as Phil said, I'm on draft 9, so we've had a lot of iterations of this text. But I think probably around draft 5, I started thinking about, you know, who's what is the energy that the person needs to bring. And I think often when I'm writing, I'll be thinking more about energetically what the person should be like on stage. And I've worked with Dean. Actually, the first time I worked with Philip, I worked with Dean as well on Klippe wat Val. And Celeste, I studied with a few years ago. It just, I actually honestly went through agency pages and I was looking at all the people. But also, it's an energetic thing. It's hard to remember who's an actor. It's been a lot of years of not working.
What's your name again?
Sorry, I don't think we've met. Yeah, but it's an energetic thing, and I said to Phil, I felt quite strongly about it, and then after the first reading we agreed. I mean, it was just like natural chemistry, so just one of those things where you kind of hope, you know, choose some people and you hope for the best, and I knew they were both lovely people, so that always helps the process as well.
Absolutely. Dean, ons is bly ons kan jou hier uit die studio uitgekry het om jy 'n bietjie hier op die voorg weer te wees. Ja, net, ek bedoel, obviously you read the whole play. Wat is jouw experience daarvan as 'n akteur ook om met Andy se woorde te speel?
Yeah, no, it's first of all, it was toe ek 'n call gekry het actually van die hoof om te hoor, okay, daar's weer iemand wat belangstel in theater vir my. Was ek baie excited want dit is obviously 'n tipe liefde wat 'n mens nie noodwendig ander plek kan kry nie. So my experience met die chat, waar ek is bly Philip het saamgestem met jou casting na die eerste read. It would have been an awkward chat after that. Maar nou, toe ons die play gelees het, dit was, ja, ek het dit geniet, toe sy dit gestuur het, toe ek het onmiddellik actually begin lees, as gevolg van obviously excitement, that I get to read a script again that I can possibly do, en wat ek gelike het, is soos Phil ook gesê het, die different dimensions, is lekker challenging vir actor om te kom en om te speel en iets uit te figure en te werk, okay, met die memories is 'n daai tipe energy wat jy moet hê en jy moet daar teruggaan en hoe oud is jy as jy die memory het, hoe oud is jy, en like all that, it's altyd lekker om vleis te hê as jy eet. So that was always nice for me. Well, no offense to the vegans and any vegetarians, but you know, it's altyd lekker om te weet daar's soveel layers waar 'n mens me kan speel in it en werk mee, and when I read it, that it's the kind of thing that I saw, you know, you can work on chemistry, on the relationship, on waar met different goed te place om different reacties te kry, en ja, dat is maar net my experience gewees en ek het dit regtig baie geniet, baie meer as wat julle dink, om weer terug te wees hier. So really, I really enjoyed it, so thank you for that.
I really do disagree with everything that Dean has said, and even some of the things that Philip said about the text. I also read it like as soon as I got it, pretty much. I was so excited to read it, and Andy, in her humble ways, was just like, "I'm sending it to you, but it's probably not finished." And it was so beautiful. I read it, and at the end, I was like, "What the hell was she talking about?" I loved it so much, and yeah, I think it's two characters that have such a beautiful dynamic, and it does have so many layers as well, and I feel like they get explored really nicely throughout the duration of the play. But even just during this scene and like seeing the seed of that come together so quickly in such a short amount of time, it just, I don't know, it shows that the text really stands, I think, in an on its like by itself, it's incredible. Good job. It was great.
And Andy, before I hand over to the audience to ask questions, just seeing, I mean, you've worked on it, it's draft 9, and now you see an extract of it. You're seeing it come alive. Like, what is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, what an honor. But like for Philip, I mean, we've worked together a lot. Philip taught me when I was in first year as well. And yeah, I mean, honestly, he's kind of like my idol. Like, I love his work so much. I'm such a fan. Like, my first big professional job was with Philip. So firstly, it was a very kind of just awe-inspiring experience for me, for him to take on my text and take it on with such gentleness, and yeah, just he really went for it, and it's quite emotional. I think especially something like this that's been brewing for 5 years. I've been writing it for almost 3. Draft 9, coming up to draft 10. I think it's just quite something to finally have it in the room. It's that thing of like, you know, a play is like a splinter, and when it's just there, and the play is half written, but you can't get it on stage because it's a pandemic. And so I think it's been like a very special experience for me to just see it on stage, and to kind of see it in the, like, hear it in the mouths of actors, and see it in the hands of a director who's very brilliant. And yeah, it's been an amazing experience. So yeah, very emotional. I had a little cry the other day. Shame.
And I think it's especially after the pandemic, especially what we went through. Somehow, I mean, I know you've been working on it for 5 years, etc. But especially now, I think everything that it touches, memory, loss, etc., it hits all the buttons of, I think, where we are. A little bit lost within memories of what was, what kind of became, and we don't know where we are now.
Yeah, and I think like grief is like complex. There's grief for mourning, but there's also grief for who was I before the pandemic, and who was I before my Oma died. There's like time cleaves in half to before and after, and there's no way to go back. So I think there's grief for, like, everyone's carrying a lot of grief, I think, at the moment. Not necessarily, although a lot of people have lost people they love, but like, I think there's a grief as well that we're processing, kind of a pandemic, which has been unbelievably devastating for everybody. So yeah.
I think there's a lot of suppressed angst and pain that's still being processed. Anyway, open to you. We'd love to hear what you thought of this extract. Dion, ek gaan nou weer by jou begin, because you actually read the full play. So it's just lovely to hear from someone who also read it from beginning to end.
We read it, we don't know who wrote it. So there are two things about that. Sometimes it's nice, sometimes you really want to know, but it was very interesting to see that you'd written it. But I really love the play. I think it's very unusual, I think it's very gentle, and everything you said about grief. You know, we all deal with grief, and in this time especially, a lot of us hold grief, and so I think it's a lovely play to sort of mellow in, and I agree, Philip, it's right in your wheelhouse. I mean, when I saw you, I sort of thought, oh yes, of course, and I didn't know you knew one another. So it's a lovely coming to the, and ja, lekker om jou op die voorg te sien, so get him back, please. No, it's been lovely. I think it's just it's a different play to anything else we've had here, and that is always one of the lovely things about Teksmark, is that, you know, you get different ideas, it comes from different places, but you must keep writing, because there's a naturalness about your writing that's, I remember reading it and just thinking, this is so comfortable, and I knew the characters, and yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Any comments? Everyone's so quiet after lunch. What's going on? Any questions you've got for Andy? Okay, would you love to see the play being staged? That's all we need to know.
Me too.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful work. ek net kyk, ek weet dit is nou onder die oppervlak deur Nico Taljard. Nico, is jy reg? Nico is al die pad van Bloemfontein af. Sy eerste keer by Teksmark. So ek handig onmiddellik oor aan jou, Nico.
Baie dankie.
Jy het 'n plan mee.
Baie dankie, Hugo. Goeiedag almal. Vandag gaan julle uittreksel sien uit my debuutstuk Onder die oppervlak. It's a postmodern dramedy in Afrikaans, English and phrases of Sesotho that's included into the script. The show explores issues of dating in the digital era, as well as more focused on online dating and interracial relationships. So in this play, we explore themes of interracial relationships, identity, the colorblindness ideology, and the naivety of it, as well as online dating. And so the story revolves around Eben and Tabiseng. They meet each other through Tinder under anonymous profiles. They meet up. It's awkward because they didn't realize that they opposite races. And then the story evolves from there onwards, and how the public and people outside the relationship influences this relationship. And the play is mostly about that influence and how it affects them going forward. So it's not necessarily a play about race, but it explores how miscommunication and avoidance of conflict is so seated in South Africans that we tend to make conflicts about race. So the style of the play is a mixture of realism, some magical elements, multimedia. There's jumps in time from present, where the characters speak directly to the audience in interview style, as if the audience is interviewing the characters, where they address some of the most important issues that they have been experiencing in this relationship. And then to the past, where it's normal dialogue scenes that depict important moments in this relationship. Yeah, and I think that's about it. We can just enjoy it, hopefully.
Hi, sorry. Are you looking for someone?
Yeah. I was supposed to meet a girl here 15 minutes ago, but I think she probably left you know.
So you the guy from Tinder, Dave, right?
Yes. Yo.
Nina. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. I should probably take a seat there.
No, you don't have to if you don't want to.
Why wouldn't I want to?
I don't know.
Do you not want me to sit?
No. I mean, you're welcome to sit. It's just
I'm not what you expected.
no.
Well, does it matter?
Dave, I'm black.
And?
Let's not do this.
No, wait, hold on. If you're not up for the date, then hey, no hard feelings. But both of us took the time to get here, and it cost me a flat tire, but I'm here. So we might as well, get a little drink together as friends. Even if it's just to, shake off the day.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Come on, one drink and no expectations. What do you say?
I guess it won't do no harm.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yo, black is deer, huh?
Yeah. I remember the first time Yevin and I went out in public as a couple. We went to the mall and we marched in there hand in hand as if it were the most normal thing for people of different races to be holding hands. But clearly, the other patrons did not share our sentiments.
Dit was vreemd. So asof almal so oop ons was, al was dit nou nie. Ja, natuurlik was daar die mense wat ons net blaatant aangegluur het, ja. Maar dan was daar ook die mense, wat gestaar het sonder om te kyk. Jy weet, die wat geleer het, dis ongeskik om te staar, so dan los ons dit nou maar. Wil ons hoe graag? Of, jy weet, hulle draai hulle kop in so skroewe. Sodra jy verby hulle stap. So, asof 'n mens dit nie gaan aanvoel of agterkom nie.
That evening, I visited my mother, and I knew that something was terribly wrong when she had me sit down at the kitchen table and said to me, "Nthabisa ngwana, we need to talk." What I didn't anticipate was her warning me against dating white men. I mean, we never broke the news to her, but clearly Auntie Olivia from across the street had already broken the news to her. At first, I tried to deny it, but my mom told me that Eben was already making a liar out of me, and so I defended myself and Eben, of course, but my mom just dropped the bomb. Hey, these white men are just here to use us. Until the next best white girl comes along, then they just throw us away like pieces of trash. I mean, I remember going back home and just crying on my way there. As much as I didn't want to believe my mom or anything that she just said, her words just kept on ringing in my head like a siren. It grew louder and louder until every doubt I've ever had came rushing in.
Are you excited as I am?
Yeah. I mean, if nausea and a constant urge to pee counts as excitement, then yes, Eben, I am really excited.
Relax. My parents are super chilled, and I'm 100% confident they'll love you.
100%. Sure.
Well, what can I say? If you know, you know, huh? Are you ready? We have to leave in 10 minutes.
I mean, I would have been done about 30 minutes ago if my makeup didn't smudge. Now I have to do it all over again. Then I just have to fix my wig and have my lashes on. Then we're good to go.
You know you are, beautiful without all of this stuff, right?
I know. But tonight is one of those nights where a lady needs to dress to impress.
Well, you impressed me a long time ago.
Oh.
Okay.
Sure. Then I wouldn't want to set the bar low seeing that there's a queue of girls waiting in line for you.
Queue of girls? Me? I don't see any lines. You know why? Because I only have eyes for one girl, and her name is Nthabisa.
Oh, then maybe I should just go ahead, go blonde, and change my name to Amanda.
That's what this is about.
Of course, it's all in Afrikaans, and I don't understand every word. But I understood well enough to know that when Eben, you were gonna go to the park with this girl for coffee. Really? Are you serious?
Then you must have also seen that I made it clear that I'm only meeting her for a friendly coffee and I'm seeing someone, aka you. Look, vriendelike koffie. Ek sien iemand.
I didn't see that. But still, why would you do this behind my back, Kevin?
Well, Tannie, I know this girl from high school. You know, we dated a bit in 10th grade, but we turned out to be much better friends than lovers. And I was going to ask you if I can go and, you know, then dinner plans happen.
Yeah,
Now we're here.
yeah, born.
I'm sorry for not telling you. No, and I know how this might look.
Kevin? That night at the cafe, the first time we met,
Yes.
why didn't you just leave?
Well, to be honest, I didn't want to not finish drinking my beer. You know? I paid a good amount of money for that beer, and just to leave it there would be a shame. And of course, I had to hide from Central Sabrina. Don't you remember? That. Right there. That's why I didn't leave. Beautiful smile of yours. You know, the vulnerable yet strong lady that shines through that smile of yours. You know what? I'm deleting Tinder right now.
No,
I
but
still
what
don't
about,
know why I still have it.
what about coffee with Amanda?
On whether I see her again or not, it really doesn't matter. See? Delete it.
I'm sorry I went through your texts and made my own assumptions. Sorry.
Yeah, you know what? It's okay. You know, at least now everything is sorted and out of the way and we can move on. Are you ready to go?
Babe, don't you think we should just reschedule or cancel, maybe?
Oh, we can't cancel now. My mother is probably, already done cooking up a feast. And she even made some roast chicken.
Yeah, chicken. Sure, I'll consider it.
Yeah, if we cancel now, all of those food will go to waste. And then my mother is not going to be my biggest fan.
I know, it's just... You're even I can see,
You're scared. I get it. Hell, I'm nervous too, believe me. You know, we're about to step into foreign territory. And it's a big step to take. Come on, well, what's the worst that can happen? You know, both of us could be thrown out at the same time, and still then we'll be in this together. Everything's going to be fine. Come on, say it with me. Everything's going. Let's say it like we mean it.
Everything's going to be fine.
What for fun?
Everything is going to be
fine. Feel better?
Yeah, I mean, you're so good with convincing, so yeah.
You know what? It's one of my superpowers, actually.
Oh, really? What other powers do you have?
Well, a man never reveals all the cards in his hand.
Dating has always been difficult for me. I mean, I only dated 2 guys since high school. Cheslin, Limpo. Now, Cheslin was a very affectionate guy, so bloody damn affectionate to a point that he accidentally impregnated his side chick while he was with me just because I wouldn't have sex with him before marriage. And then there was Mpo, who just accused me of being too white. Too white? Whatever the heck that meant.
Sure. Ek is nog altyd andersdenkend. Konstant besig om altyd te bevraagteken. Soos, hoekom kan mense nie 'n stabiele inkomste verdien as 'n kunstenaar nie? Hoekom moet ek trou en kinders kry ter wille van die familienaam? Jy weet, hoekom mag mans nie emosie wys nie? Dis al hierdie hoekom die lys gaan aan. Maar ek het onmiddellik gewonder wat die familie sou sê. Tog nee. Al daai politiek en al daai geskinder en ja, ek het nie geweet of dit alsie moet werd sou wees nie. Ja, ek wou net opstaan en loop. Maar vir een of ander rede weet ek.
So So why did I fall for a white guy? I don't know. I don't know, but something about him shook the foundations of what I felt white men were like. I mean, his eyes were so gentle. He was caring, charming. He made me smile and laugh. I mean, every time I was with him, I would forget that I'm black and that he is white. We were just us. Ntabiseng, the urban. I guess I felt really comfortable with him. More so in a way that I never felt with anyone else. And I love him for that. But sometimes I wonder if I'll ever be enough for Irvin. I mean, this insecure mess of a black bleach with ew hair. Will I ever be enough for Irvin?
Right. Well done, and thank you. Nico, hoekom? Wat het jou ek bedoel, why did you write this? Waar kom dit vandaan?
Okay, so it was back then. I'm obviously from the Free State, so in the Free State.
Why so obvious?
I think my flat English. So in the Free State, people are quite conservative when it comes to interracial friendships, not even speaking about interracial relationships. And one day I witnessed a very racist incident from a distance, and I just thought to myself, what would a world look like where we didn't see skin color? So the issue of color blindness. And I was thinking about that a lot, and eventually I realized that it's a naive concept. It's to eliminate our own uncomfortability with understanding other people that are different from us. So the play was born from that idea of color blindness. So in the play, there's a scene actually with their first meeting, where it's very awkward at the beginning, and as they get to know each other and warm up towards each other, they start forgetting that the other person is opposite skin color. So there comes a white Ntabiseng in, which Eben sees from his perspective, and the same with Ntabiseng. A black Eben enters at some stage. She sees him as her equal. And the same with Eben, until they reached a point in the date where they would have had the first kiss, and they are aware of the people in the restaurant staring at them, and that's the point where they realize that they are different, and it's undeniably so. And from that point, they play the different characters, which is Charles and Jane. And from there onwards, we explore the issues of them as themselves.
And what kind of research, if I can call it that, or discussions or investigation did you do to write this? Did you speak to couples who are in that situation, who are dealing with it? Or
Yeah, so when I got the concept, I started to I spoke to 3 couples, and in the discussion, I interviewed them at large, a very in-depth discussion. And what I found in all of the couples were that they were very open to be interviewed for people to understand them, but they didn't really want to reveal everything. You could sense that they're hiding some of the stuff. And even with those things that they were hiding, I could realize that this is a black person's worldview thing that's manifesting in their answers and what they're hiding, which I found to be lots of insecurity. And with the white people's answers were very almost obliviousness. And I took the overarching qualities from actually what they've hidden, what they didn't reveal to me in the interviews. And I sculpted the characters that we see here. So yeah.
Jane, I'm very interested to hear, you're also a playwright, and you'll see another play from Jane later on. I would love to hear from you, kind of when you read Nico's play, like your perception on it, and what did you think, and what do you think about the play? Is it important?
Of course, everything I do is important. When I first read the play, I fell in love with it, and I was very much interested in what the director is gonna do with it, because it's a docudrama. Like, in my head, it was like, it's gonna be such a perfect film. I'm just not sure how it's gonna work in theater, but it worked out great. And I do have to say, to be honest, there were some things in the script that made me uncomfortable, but that's also, how do I put it? A lot of times we deal with such matters and we always throw the race card. Like that last line, insecure bitch with you hair. Yo, I felt offended. But then I went back to the script, because it's not just coming out, it stems from something. When this lady was younger, a white girl innocently just asked, "Why is your hair weird?" Because she was always around white people. And that's something that she took with as she grew older. But I do love the discussions that happened amongst us, and I wish that I would have experienced it with a different group, because as artists we are more receptive of each other, understanding, accepting, but it's not always the reality. I mean, it was quite easy for us to get comfortable with each other, but I do have interracial couples in my circle, and I know that the reality is every day they feel judged. It's yeah, but I love, well, not love, that there's this friends of mine, the godparents to the twins, who have been married for years now, but they still deal with the same issues. Like, imagine having to deal with that all your life. Nico and I, every time we go out, our favorite moment is how people stare. Like, we feel like the restaurant is, which is actually, it's always like, eyes on us. People don't understand why a black girl and a white guy can be so comfortable around each other. Waiters don't know how to act around us. And that is why this piece is so important, you know? And every time we talk about interracial, it always goes back to black and white, but there's Indian and colored and whatever, but it's always between these two. And yeah, I talk too much.
I now feel like entertainment, but is this a scoop? I didn't know. Are you a couple?
No. Yes.
No, you do.
No.
Because you said like, oh, okay, just very close friends, but it's perceived as,
yes,
okay, no scoop,
no,
sorry, cancel. I thought, oh my goodness, I didn't know this. This was so exciting. Okay.
Maybe it could be.
Who knows? There we go. All right, now that would have made it very interesting, the whole dynamic of the play. Yes. Your comments.
Comments.
Ja. Die derde wil nie waar.
Derde wil nie waar. Yes. All right. Kan ek dit eers 'n bietjie persoonlik vat en dan
Yes,
ons
please.
conceptualize praat en daai dinge. Persoonlik, Ek is born and bred in Bloemfontein, Vrystaat. Ja, julle ken mos. En ek het aanvanklik was hierdie eintlik vir my een groot healing ek weet dis baie die woord word baie gebruik, maar dit is wat dit is. 'n Healing proses sonder dat ek geweet het. Want hierso is ek nog altyd hoe kan ek sê? Ek was hierso al die boundaries en biases en dinge was hier gebreek, maar ek het agtergekom daar's so 'n tipe van 'n subconscious bias. Toe ons saam begin werk het ek ewe skielik we talked about this. Begin ongemaklik voel en ek het nie geweet hoekom en dit het my uitgefreak want ek gedink is ek nou soos 'n closet racist of iets of wat gaan aan and it wasn't that. Dit is net soos wat mens groot gemaak word, so is daar sekere dinge wat in jou siel daar amper ingeprent is. En hier het my die geleentheid gegee om 'n bietjie die matte kon uitskit daarso. En ek het eintlik baie meer van myself geleer in hierdie produksie as wat ek besef het. En dit is net so 'n persoonlike ding. Ja, actually thought I was way more comfortable than I actually was. And well, it was just now I'm so over it and it's like it freed me in a sense. Ook net ander nota is mense dink baie keer wanneer hulle vassit met mekaar of nie van mekaar hou of iets gebeur of as konflik dat dit is oor dat cultural of racial or whatever. Ek het agtergekom meer en meer it's about us being human. Meer as enigiets anders. En ja, ek het nie 'n vraag dalk, maar ek het nie nog iets om te sê daaroor nie, maar dit was my nogals 'n baie cool journey sover. Ja, en dankie Nico, dankie Jane.
Nico, jy het iets wat jy wil sê, ja?
Om net aan te las by wat Charles gesê het, so die konsep is om vir mense te wys dat baie van die konflikte wat veroorsaak word in interracial relationships en is eerstens interracial relationships, dit is geframe as 'n romantiese storie in 'n romance, maar dis van toepassing op enige tipe interracial relationships, vriendskappe, kollegas, enige tipe interracial relationship waar ons moet interact met mekaar. En dis so tangible hoe outside influences en hoe ons grootgemaak is en geleer is nog vassit in ons. En dis dit wat eintlik konflikte veroorsaak en die miskommunikasie en repressing van hierdie issues waarmee ons loop, maar sodra dit uitkom en ons laat ons af toe om regtig te kommunikeer oor hierdie goeters, dan maak ons as Suid-Afrikaners dit gewoonlik oorras. En ek het gevoel dat dit moet een spieël wees vir mense en vir hulle wys dat as ons bereid is om mekaar te verstaan en met mekaar te praat oor al die lelike dinge wat ons pla, dan kan ons vorentoe beweeg en ons kan in harmonie saamleef.
Sure, dis complicated. Ja, daarso. Rita.
Ek wil vir jou vra, want dit is regtig 'n baie interessante, dis 'n baie nodige gesprek en is baie nodig dat 'n mens sulke teater sien. Wat is die krisis oomblik in die stuk waar die twee jy weet waar hulle by ek weet nie, ek wil net dit vir jou vra want jy sal weet wat die krisis oomblik is. Ek is geïnteresseerd om te weet wat dit is.
So in hierdie geval die stukkie waar sy praat oor haar ma wat vir haar gekonfronteer het. Van daar af, van daardie oomblik vorentoe het sy baie meer skepties oor die verhouding en dit begin subtly inwerk in haar interactions met Eben. So daar begin 'n bietjie wrywing kom. Eben reël dan sonder om haar te vra ete met sy maale. En met die hele gesprek wat sy met haar eie ma gehad het, is sy glad nie gereed om sy ouers te ontmoet nie. Hulle gaan dan uit die aard van die saak na hierdie toneel wat julle ook gesien het, na sy ouers toe en dis wanneer hulle terugkom van sy ouers af. Dit is die breekpunt. Hy dink dit het goed gegaan. Sy konfronteer hom en sê hoorie, maar dit het glad nie goed gegaan nie. En dit is waar hulle begin eerlik praat met mekaar.
Julle praat ook baie van vryheid, jy weet, about this is a situation in the Free State. It's a situation in Bloemfontein, but I mean, I think it's everywhere. It's not just place specific, unfortunately. Cornelia.
Ja, dankie Hugo. Dankie Nico. Ek wil nie hierdie stuk as dapper bestempel nie of beskryf nie want dit behoort nie te wees nie. Dit is eintlik absurd dat ons in 2022 nog praat oor 'n stuk wat oor 'n interracial couple gaan as dit is so dapper dat jy die tema aanpak. It shouldn't be. It should be more normalized. And the way you're going to do it is by putting it on stage. So, thank you for doing that and taking on the subject. As someone who's lived in the Free State in Bloemfontein for a long time, I do understand the world you're talking about. And I do want to encourage you to read, for example, it's one example, Jonathan Janssen's book, Knowledge in the Blood, that speaks precisely to what you were saying. You think on an intellectual level, you are not racist and you have black friends, but there's something in your DNA that comes with a long history. And that is something that most of us in South Africa need to address about ourselves and be really, really honest about that. I do think there's something in your framing of the interaction with the audience that I would like to ask you about. Is it not possible, because otherwise, and I think that's where Henrietta's question also comes from, that it's not just one note and one journey that you're seeing, but maybe there's an interaction from their side with somebody, maybe, I know mockumentary style stuff is so overdone, but maybe just, could you look at them doing an interview with someone? So maybe some of the prejudices comes from the interview process or something. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but just so you address those prejudices that is there, but it's not just the characters constantly telling us this, if that makes sense. I think it would just give you a little bit more drama or spice or something.
No, it's a completed script, but it's ever evolving. Definitely open to suggestions. I feel it's an important question that we need to bring out. So if it can grow, then totally open for that.
Yeah, because I think it's so. There's a lot to explore. Actually, I mean, it's not just a one-dimensional kind of. These are the problems. It becomes much more complex and much deeper than just a superficial kind of thing, which I'm not saying that's what, but just from working on the script, etc. Do we have another Albie? Oh, right, yeah, sorry. Apologies.
Ek gaan myself waarskynlik in die rede val en ek vra daaroor 'n verskoning, maar ek wil vir jou 'n vraag vra. Do you understand Afrikaans? Or should I speak English rather?
Give her the mic.
Rather, cool. This is a play which I think is necessary, but I think we're telling it from the wrong perspective. Don't you find that he should be asking more whether he's good enough for her? Because we never bring that into the dynamic. Do we?
Interesting. Wow.
Your character said, "Am I good enough for you?" And the woman in me immediately went, "Is he good enough for you, girl?" So yeah, it's interesting that we both had that instinct.
Yeah. No, I that will be an interesting angle. But I also think in this instance, it's because he's such an idealistic person. Is that a word? Idealist? Idealist. He's such an idealist that everything is perfect in his world. They are meant to be together. It's like, oh. But in her world, it's more about the reality. So in this instance, I understand why it's my character that questions, because with him, everything is perfect. But maybe we should have Under the Opera Flag 2.0. Yeah, definitely.
What is your answer to that, Nico?
Well, I wrote it definitely from the point of view that he is the idealistic person. He's the one, stemming from the interviews, the problem that I saw was that me as a white person, I was also confronted with that at that stage, that we always think that everything is just perfect because we grew up in such a protected world that everything is going to be okay, just work hard, be kind, friendly, all that. But and that's why I think we react so easily, because when we're confronted with these types of stuff, then our world gets flipped over, and that's what Eben's world is. He thinks that, no, we can solve all these problems, we just need to go on, be positive, and she confronts him at the end. That's one of their big clashes. She's the realist, he's the idealist. She confronts him, she tells him, listen, you're too idealistic. This room can burn down and you'll still say that everything is going to be fine. And then, as soon as she confronts him and that mirror is almost shattered, then his truth comes out. He tells her what irritates him about her, her insecurities. Yeah.
Can I also just add on to that? With my experience, I've realized that it's not about the land, no? But we are so receptive. Like if my friend comes and she says she met a white guy, blah, 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 the conversation would be like, oh my gosh, a white person, how did you do it? How's the sex like? Blah, 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 blah. But if a white person says, I'm dating a black girl, yeah, and I think that's also why I understand why my character would say that, because as black people, we always feel like we are not enough for white people. Not Jane, me, I'm a badass bitch. But the reality is we live in a world where we are constantly being reminded that we are inferior. As much as we want to have all unicorns and fluffy clouds and whatever, that's not the reality. So I do understand why my character feels that way. And why she's always reminded that, because she's the one who touches on race a lot.
Yeah, she's very much the realistic voice in this whole thing, and it also plays on gender roles. She is the logical one, he's the dreamer, the idealist, the emotional one, and that's also where their personalities clash. That's where the conflict comes in. So the whole plot is driven by the outside characters that we never meet, but how they work on the two different personalities, their worldviews. That's what causes the clash and the lack of communication.
Yes. Nico, so I just want to know, how many characters do we see? Only the two? And then I'd like to know, are we ever confronted by the other biases? You know, because we see that between the two, which is great, but it almost feels to me I would like to see the interaction from another couple or from the parents, or are there any scenes like that in the play?
No scenes with other characters, so it's just the two, and then in the initial meeting scene, it's the white Ntabiseng and the black Eben that's seen from the characters' perspectives as the equals, playing with the idea of the colorblindness.
Because I also just think, you know, seeing the other people's biases and how they react to that, it's very interesting for a character to speak how they interpret it or how they see it. It'd be very interesting to see the dynamics taking place with them in a situation where they actually now have to stand up for themselves and stand up for their relationship and what's not being said sometimes, you know, and how they try and get over that. Just throwing it out there.
But there is a little bit of that. Maybe this is something you can explore more. Remember, there's a waiter character who doesn't say much, but his eyes says everything. So you already kind of have a bit of that. Maybe.
Yeah,
That's
quick.
5 of us.
Quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This two, and then the white and Tabby saying the black earband and the waiter character, who, yeah.
Is daar nog 'n vraag? Comment right up there, Adventure. Bietjie oefening.
Thank you so much, Nico. Ek wil by jou gehoor het, the English and Afrikaans, that you write the Afrikaans part just in Afrikaans first and then in English, that you translate. Hoe het jy gemaak daar?
So from the start, I wrote Eben's interview scenes as Afrikaans and Ndabi scenes as English for the mere reason that it's true to Ndabi Singh's character, and we also see it with the Jason Limpopo thing, where they accuse her of being too white. And it also comes through in the duration of the script that her mother rised from her circumstances as a single mother, and from that, Ndabi Singh also rose out of her circumstances. So she's a very strong woman and independent, and she fought her way up. And in the process, she lost a bit of her identity. And that's why she's mainly English, but there are many parts where I asked Jane to work in some Sotho phrases for the more emotionally driven parts of a character, where she expresses anger and frustration and those things, the types of stuff that when you speak not in your mother tongue, that you can't express other than in your mother tongue.
Yes, nee, ek vra spesifiek, so I'm specifically asking that, Nico, because the dialogue and the monologue from the Afrikaans felt stronger for me. It felt more natural, more free. The English was still a bit hakkerig for me. And I think it's maybe because there's still more drafts needed. I think the stakes can be higher in this play. I think the intentions can also maybe have more levels. And I think Jane is the perfect person to actually sit with you with the script to try and put more flesh on this, né? To make the politics around it, and especially the internalized racism that actually came up in the discussion now. These are things that should be workshopped with your cast as well to bring that more about. Because it's feeling to me a bit too stereotypical, the characters. They can still have a bit more oomph in them, you know? What are they actually not saying to each other, you know? And if they're idealistic and the one is realistic, they're more than that, you know? What are the other levels they have? And don't be afraid to show the realness, you know? I even know with my wig, you know, I need to take it off when I put my makeup on. Oh, I saw that fringe of yours, Jane. Oh, it got in the way, honey. Take it off. Let's be real. If we want to talk about the real issues, let's be kaalgat about it. Nee? So, baie dankie Nico, but yes, go back to the drawing board wat jy het iets hierso. And yes, maybe it is good, want daarso die Vrystaat besigheid, Halloween next to me was like, when your actor said, oh yeah, Vrystaat, you know, we were kind of like, no, we don't know. So that thing, you know, that Vrystaat thing, maybe give a language to it. You know, we can't just call it a thing. Wat is it? You know? Yeah. Dankie.
Enige ander kommentaar? Daar's.
Firstly, Nico, well done. Like, I just told my friend, yeah, like, when I watched the extract now, it was very wholesome because it's rarely that you see such open and such raw emotions being portrayed, especially interculturally and interracially. I just have a question that ties on to Diane's question about like the stakes of the character, because I understand even like the breaking of the fourth wall and talking to the audience, that gives us a reflection of the internal state of the feeling of the characters. But I wasn't sure about what the stakes of the characters are, and collectively, as a couple, I saw the stakes, but as individuals, because before they got into the relationship, they were first individuals before they met each other, like it was set up in the meeting scene. So what are the stakes for their individual characters and why do they still choose to stay together? And I think that might tie into giving the third person perspective from the outside society and how they react to that. But collectively, why do they stay together? And then individually, what are the stakes of their individual characters?
So for both of the characters, they have a sense of loneliness, and from the start, they go into this relationship almost more to soothe their loneliness, and that's what also feeding into some of the conflicts that build up. I don't think they know how to be in a healthy relationship. What about an interracial relationship that's so much more layered as well? And at the end, after the whole confrontation, they basically take a break. And we leave it open to the audience to decide what happens when they re-meet again. Are they going to take this relationship further? Is it only going to be a friendship? What is the path going from here?
I have a comment. I just want to say that this, obviously I know that there are things that need to be adjusted compared with other people commenting, but I do want to commend you on, I immediately fell in love with the couple. The chemistry that they had, and I think it's because I know a white man like that, and I know a black woman like that, and to see them come together, it's something that I've never seen before, and it's something that I would want to see on stage. So I want to commend you for that. And I look forward to seeing the relationship develop, and I look forward to seeing her as the character develop. Is the wig question? Yeah, the wig was also like, that was getting on me. And I was like, I know that isn't who she is. So immediately with the wig and the way she put on the makeup, I was like, there's so much levels to the character already that I look forward to seeing. And when she took off the wig for me, that was like I felt a breath for her. Like I just was like relieved for her for that. So well done on the script, and I look forward to seeing it on stage because I think it's something that's very important.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, Dankie. Thank you. Wonderful. We are now taking a 10-minute break. So what time are we back, Liz and I don't have time with me. 25 to 4 back here. And we just need to do a little bit of a technical setup. Thank you. Welcome back. We now have Sabu Dwili that's going to introduce his play. Just before this is a play that came out of a script writing workshop that the Baxter also did with different scripts, a mentorship program last year. Yeah. Also, just to mention, we have surtitles on that side. We wish we could have done it as real surtitles, but with Teksmark, so we're just doing it right there for now, this year, not that advanced yet. So there will be English version on that side to follow. I'm handing over to Sabu.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Boja Kiwili, 22 years old, and I live in Kraaifontein. I am a filmmaker by profession, but I like to act. I can put it in that way. So last year, I developed a play titled Ngci, in translation, Still. The play has 4 characters that are seen in the play, but there are various characters that are not really seen in the play, but they play a major role into driving the story forward. For example, we have what I think is an antagonist in the play, the first antagonist in the play. We never really get to see her, but we hear about her throughout the story. The play is about 2 boys that want to go to the mountain. They want to be men. They are friends. One of them being Ntabeni. Ntabeni has a father and a mother, loving family, supporting, caring, but the conflict comes when Ntabeni wants to go to the mountain and tells his father that he wants to go to the mountain, and the father is not really giving him the permission to go to the mountain based on his individual encounter with the mountain. He believes that the past will play a major obstacle in preventing him to become a man. He believes that Ntabeni is already a man because of the qualities that he possesses, so he should just act like one instead of going to the mountain. But I do believe that those beliefs and sayings are coming from a place of preventing him to go to the mountain. He does not really believe that he's actually a man. And Ntioyo, on the other side, is a lonely boy, no father, no mother. He, in protection of his mother to his drunkard father, mistakenly, he killed his father. The mother left, leaving him alone. So he's got no one really, and he believes, because there's a saying in Xhosa that when you go to the mountain, you automatically get reborn again. So he believes that by going to the mountain, the past will be erased, he will be reborn, and people will not discriminate him and call him names, insulting him, and that he's a killer or whatnot. So his main goal to go to the mountain is to actually wash away the sin that he committed. The play has got 4 actors. It's told through the lens of 4 actors, but the prime storyteller in the play is the father. We are giving the father the chance to actually vent about his past, but that confiding of the father is catalyzed by Ntabeni, who wants to go to the mountain. So, like Hugo said, it's an already written text. It was developed last year, 65 pages in length. It talks about the obvious themes that are currently burning in South Africa: GBV, toxic masculinity, and I was once asked a question whether how is the story different from The Wound in Leba, because it's mainly the same thing, the mountain. But in Leba is happening at the mountain, and it's telling about sexuality at the mountain. This play has nothing to do with sexuality. It has everything to do with self-identity and finding yourself and trying to question norms, trying to question cultural backlashing, gaslighting, into maybe channeling a discussion that will maybe lead to change in South Africa. So now we will present the play. Thank you.
Kuthiwa benjani ke manyaka?
Ukusile ukutya kule bepheleyo. Utana wam.
Husband. Uyabona mse.
Wayenjani wena ngela xesha ngibona?
Azange abonakalise zikhundini bo. Wathi ulambile namnika ukutya watya.
Wazityela ngokwakhe.
Mama wasityela ngokwakhe. Kwenzeka ntoni na? Utheni?
Xa wazityela ngokwakhe. Noko lithemba elo. Angandenzeli loo nto fuze ekhaya nto. Ngakundiphathele eza bheks ephantabeni. Yindina tata. Utheni nangoku ngumoya omdaka? Wangena kanye xa ndicinga ngawo.
Tyhini, ndithini ungabi ngumoya omdaka xa kanye ndikule meko nosakade?
Kwenzeka ntoni ngoku?
Uthanda inyelwa ngufuze ekhaya pha, rhanda agqiba uhamba kangaka, ndimosha ixesha lam nemali yam kanti ndiza kunyelwa ngabantwana. Fuck on shit.
Oh, kwenzeke ntoni nam?
Uphi uNtabeni andenzela ikofu? Ntabeni, utheni uyinja kwedini wasabela ngabela?
Hayi tata ndiye.
Into kiyo. Awuva ndiyakukhwaza? Uzimisela usabela nini?
Benza sawula ngoku.
Sabela ke ndikuva kwedini.
Tata.
Ndikuve njani xa usebenzayo? Utheni uyamutsa ngoku? Sabela kwedini yowushit. Ntabeni?
Tata.
Ntabeni?
Tata.
Hayi no, kuyacaca uyamva uyihlo ke ngoku. Khawutsho, usile umyalezo wam phaa kwagxarha?
Ewe tata ndisile.
Iinkomo zam zona usile phaa esitofini? Hayi ke, usebenzile ke nyana. Khawenzele ukuyihlo ke ikofu ke ngoku. Yazi mfazi, ndiyafika phaa ndisiwe egumbini likafuze ekhaya. Nyani ndiye ndimfumane saqabuka. Bandixelele kabagqirha into yoba eyona nto ingqonga phambili phaa kuye ethe yamvuka zezaa ntlungu zakhe zamathambo nomqolo.
Ewe, njengoba babesitsho.
Kucaca uba kaloku into yoba into ingoku iphaa emithanjeni emininzi le ethile ke ukuthi iyekile ukusebenza. Kwaye ke kuthiwa alikho ithemba lokuba iyakuphinda ibuyisebenze.
Into ifika ithini na ngoku?
Into efika ithi umqolo lo wakhe kaloku wonakela kunakuphinda ukusebenze. Kuqhaqhe kumqolo lona icala lengalo liyayeka kancinci kancinci. Loo nto icutha nengqondo apha kumfowethu. Imeko yakhe iyagexezela kuba kaloku bangabakala amandla ngoku angafana nini. Yazi umntu wakethu angaze angeke aphinde abhadle ke ngoku. Yazi ke yona into ebangela loo nto le zezazivubuke zentlungu wazifumana esemje. Apho ibuhlungu khona ke ukuba umntakwethu ungqinqe kwikhuko lokufa. Andikwazi ukumnceda, azange ndikwazi ukumnceda, ndimhlangule nangoku wayefumana ezaa zitrafu ebethwa ngaba bantu phofu engenzangani. Sekucaba ke uzawuqhawukelana zingqondo nje ke ngoku.
Hayi boqoqo. Okungekho nto nokuyenza. Wazama ukumlwela. Okungekho nokuyenza. Sokuzibeka netyala likho kuwe.
Phinde ke futhi kwayena ufuze ekhaya lowo unesibindi sokundixelela ukuba uzive ediniwe yena, uzive umphefumulo wakhe wathi uhamba uyandicela ukuba ndolusa unyana wakho uNtabeni ngaphambi kokuba yena abe uthi kuyamthatha. Wake wayiva kuwena loo nto zakhe. Uthi unexhala lokuba bekhe yena wasutywa kukufa engekangeni uNtabeni kuyonyanzeleka ukuba alinde loo nyaka uzayo. Yena akamnqwele into wake ngoku yena ashiywe intanga yakhe leyo kugqibela eshiyekileyo lekuthiwa ngutiyoyo. Chi. Uyandiyala ufuze ekhaya. Uyandiyala ufuze ekhaya ngomntana kanti uzalwa ngubani uNtabeni?
Avakala umxholo wakhe.
Umxholo wantoni? Nolusa umntana mna ndimse ngozini uza kukhuselwa ngubani phakathi xa ndingazi ukuhlala naye eNtabeni nje mna?
Umzila wakhe awufani kanti.
Andifuni ufane futhi. uNtabeni simkhulisile unembeko unesimilo akalunqeni uxanduva. Uyazimela izenzo zakhe. Sigqibile ke indoda epheleleyo ke leyo.
Undithembisile wathi.
Kwathini wangena sogqibuleka ezindabeni zabantu abadala? Ngoba kanti phuma.
Hayi mfondini. Kwenzeka ntoni ngoku mntana?
Sokuntabeni mntana.
Kwenzeka ntoni mfondini? Ndikushiya umhle nje kumzopheleleyo.
Abanye abantu ubomi babo buyatshabalala njengomzuzu. Suka koko ndanika.
Mfondini xa uzitshisa empatho uzawukhupha ntoni na kwamso?
Sekho nto ndikupelayo Ntabeni.
Hayi uthela ukuthini? Uthela ukuthini ndiyo?
Thele bakubone Ntabeni bakonakela phi? Azikho impahla zam ayikho imali yam Ntabeni. Koko nto ndizilungiselela ukuzalusa ngayo ntanga. Ndikupela ntoni ke ngoku? Azitshe Ntabeni. Kanti uba mna ndiyakufana ikoko nesono esikhulu azitshe Ntabeni. wakhe ntanga andithukile futhi ufuna nje ukwaluka libe yindoda ndicela into enkulu lomhlobo nakuthixo kwekwe okanye kwathixo lowo wandilahla mna kuba ndabulala utata andikhusela umama ntabeni andikhusele kusoleke ngokukrwam utata bakungxela bobabini kodwa lijonge ngumntanam ndililoyo ndalahlwa kwanguloo thixo lowo emveni kokufa komyeni wakhe kulungile kwekwe andinanqaba ntwini into ebendiyifuna mna ntabeni kuba mandoluke kulo nyaka umhlawumbi ishongosha lokubulala utatam benokufa nobukhongo bam ndike ndiyeke kucalulwa phakathi kwabantu abaninzi ntabeni sike sibe ngqi zonke iingxaki zam ntana ndike ndiphefumle okomzuzwana lagqibela kudala
ndiyo zikhaya kudala sekubhalelana imbalelwano yeleta ikubizayo wasibonda kulala ngentla sizithathile ke iimpahla zakho uyawuthi uzikhulule ngokubhatala yonke into emoshileyo qeqodala
iminyaka emithathu ndaba iminyaka emithathu ndisoluse emizini abantu nditshenta ndiqobana nemali uba mandoluke kulo nyaka kanti uzakwakhona bazavela bazithathele nje bona kulungile ntanga bazodibana nam ngobusuku namhlanje nam ndiyokuzithathela
una uyesuthwini lo mntana ayokuba yindoda njengoyise wayentabeni
yandiphathela ntoni ke loo nto okanye libele ufuna ndikubonisa futhi yandiphathela ungquphano lodwa kwedini umzila lo ndingafuni ke ufumane wena azange ndiphathele ngqino azange ndiphathele ntsebe nditsho nethemba le yokukhamela nanke yena ufuze ekhaya engqengqe ngomhlaba ebhala imiyalelo yokubhanqa bentaba akayi apho owam umntana bendiyithethile le nto kweko kuye nokuzakathi masingagungqa entweni enye sibadala
amaxesha atshintshile awafana wakho nokutsha kukantabeni lele kwaleyo wothe yalungisa le nyewe yayiphakathi kwakho nodatata wakho eyayibangele kube nje kuwe nofuze ekhaya vumela lo mntana ahambe amaxesha wafani
ngubani nozakathi
kuthi wena
lo yena ngubani
ngu-5
xa wena ujonge lo-5 nalo-12 ngo-1955 ngokuya mna ndandisaluka ayekhona namaxesha
ayekhona
ndicinga uba ke uphendulile ke masingabe siphikisana ngaloo nto amaxesha awatshintshi
That's it, thank you. Thank you very much. Congratulations. This is the second time you've done a full reading of this, the play last year.
Yes.
Yes.
This is the second.
So obviously, I mean, one of my, it was interesting because I had the translations on the side, but the language went so fast that the translation was also, it was difficult to read sometimes because it's a little bit longer in English to actually explain what is going on stage. So we'll chat about that now. So when you decided to write this play, or you decided to write a play for the Baxter. Why did you write about this specifically?
It was really a question for myself, because I was looking at the society that I come from, looking at the men that I see every day, and people that proclaim to be men and not act manly. So I was a boy at that time, but questioning manhood. What do you need to qualify as a man? Firstly, what's the criteria to become a man? That's broadly, generally, to become a man. And then I narrow it down to become a man in isiXhosa. What do you need to become a man? And then it came to a point that, oh, okay, you need the qualities. You need to act manly. But firstly, you must go to the mountain, because the mountain is a university that you actually get to learn about these qualities, these values of manhood from men that are acting manly, and some of them are deceiving people that they are acting manly and they are not. So it was a question from myself to men, and a question from myself to my father, who is a man and whom I've seen not acting manly at times. Whether was he not a man at that time, was he a boy when he was not acting manly, and then he remembered, oh, I'm a man, I must. So yeah, it was a question for myself. So in trying to answer that question, it came to a play.
And did the process of writing the play give you any answers?
The Baxter.
No, the process of writing the play. Did it give you any answers?
It did.
Difficult question.
It did.
Not a difficult question.
It did really, but it's more of a broad answer. It's what you take from the play. For me, I got the answer that sometimes we lose ourselves in the journey of finding the real being that we are. So in those instances of losing yourself, you sometimes lose character to act not the way you're supposed to act. But that does not advocate or justify any violence that men do to women, to children, or to any other man, or to any other human being. So the answer that I got was that whether you are angry, you are facing whatever emotional, anything that you have, you should remember to act your part.
And can you just, before I open the floor, give us a little bit this extract? Where exactly in the play does it fall, and what comes after it? And how does this all play out? If you don't want to give anything away, you don't have to, but it would be lovely to actually know the story.
No, it's fine. So the play begins with the boys, us. We're excited, we're happy, we've made vows, we've made oaths that we're going to the mountain. I don't know what my father knows. He doesn't know what's going to happen to him. So we are ready, we believe, we are ready to be men. And we've seen each other acting manly when we were boys. So now we want to get the title of being a man. Fast forward, I get home. My mother's excited, and she's prepared things, she's bought clothes. So it's happening. I know it's happening until the father comes from the hospital. The father, I think the father, because it's not in the play, I think the father agreed to the mother that I am actually going to the mountain. But what transpired at the hospital changed his mind, because his brother, my uncle, is suffering the pain that they both got from the mountain, and now is dying because of that. And my father is trying to protect me from death. And he doesn't want me to go to the mountain. So the whole argument between them changes when he comes back, and the conflict that we just presented happens.
I just want to ask about manhood. manliness, what he was talking about. In your experience working with the play, what did you get out of this play? Because I saw you nodding when he was speaking about his father, presenting himself as a boy, actually, rather than a man. So this is a question I would like to open up to you. Just a mic, please.
Okay. You asked me about manhood.
Yes. And this play, obviously, in relationship to the play.
This is a difficult question and a tricky one, anyway. To be a man, a manhood, I think it revolves around responsibility. You need to be a responsible person, someone who's always protective for his family, and I think it revolves around that. And irrespective of whatever goes around, and there's a lot. You can't really be specific of that. This is the manhood.
And reading the play, what were your thoughts on what was being said here about Sabu's writing, about how he portrays this whole story?
Firstly, I was very skeptical because I thought that the idea is revolving around the Endabin, which is, what is it, Endabin? Mountain. And then when I read or having explanations from him that, no, this is just an issue. It's a top layer, but underneath that, there's a family conflict, which is underlying from the previous years.
And I think that's the key. It's ultimately a family drama.
Yes.
In its essence, it's about family, about, yes, man and all of that, but the relationships between everyone in this drama. I'm going to ask you the same question about reading the play and then the idea of, what it addresses in society at the moment about...
Okay. When I read through the script, when we go through the play deeper, Ndabeni, which is my son, throughout the play, he tries to prove to his father that I am a man and I'm ready to be a man. And he proves that by his responsibilities, the things that he does, because his father tells him, look, you need to look after my cows, you need to look after the house, look after your mother, you need to do this, you need to do that. And he proves that. Everything he does is to prove to his father that I am enough and I'm ready to be a man. And what I've learned is, in the black community in particular, everything that the house does, or it's particularly when the son is going to go to the mountain, it is with pride for the mother, because it shows that you have worked hard throughout the years to save so much money for you guys to buy a cow, for the community to come eat and celebrate. It's a feast. It's time for celebration, which means that everything that is going to be celebrated at your home, it's everything that you've worked hard for. And that is to show the community that, look, we've worked hard for this boy to become a man, and the community witnessed that because he's a good boy. And what I've learned through the story is I can't particularly say this yellow or green or blue is what makes you a man, but I will say that it's what you take out of the story, like Ndabeni said, what you take out of the story and what you believe, that this is the values of what will make me man enough for the community to believe that I'm man enough to protect my family, protect not just your family, but the community, our country as a whole. And I think that's what the story portrays, and I enjoyed that.
Thank you. And this is a question to anyone who wants to answer this. I've got a specific question for you, but open question. I mean, obviously we're sitting with like different expectations of don't want to say definition, but in different cultures, different things that is expected for people to do to show that they are a man or become a man or whatever it might be, and it comes in many different forms. But ultimately, and I think this is what, and it's a question about, because I haven't read the whole play, obviously, I couldn't. Is it about the values? In other words, does it come out at the end that it's about who that manlyhood is within the value system? Because ultimately, whether in whatever culture you are, it's about how you act, how you respect, etc., etc. There's like a few things. Is that ultimately what this play kind of portrays, or does it not give that specific answer?
I say that because, I mean, in every culture, like you say, in every culture, you have to go certain procedures to be deemed that you are a man by particular people in that culture. So for this play, we are taking that journey that in the Xhosa kingdom, you have to go through this to become a man, but it's not really about that journey of becoming a man. It's a debate from a boy to a man. What does it take to be a man? The boy believes that he's acting manly, believes that, like the father is saying, you need to be responsible, take accountability, you protect, you provide, you profess. He's doing all of that. But then there are men who are men by culture, but are not doing that. So what is it then to be a man? In general, what is it to be a man? So it's a debate, because there's a line in I'm trying to think how to translate it now. There's a line in the script that says, ingaba ubudoda kuba indoda inkwenkwe okanye kuba inkwenkwe indoda. So in simple translation, it can mean, is it to be a man that acts boyly or boyishly, or to be a boy that acts manly? So the whole father conflict dilemma, mother conflict dilemma, his dilemma, my dilemma, we are all trying to open a space for a debate, a discussion about manhood, because we've seen people that are men and they are violating people, they are killing people, they are raping people, they are doing all sorts of things, and yet they are men. They are respected externally, but internally they are doing all of these things. Are they men? It's a question. And then we've seen people that are not doing these things, but they are not really called men because they lack the title of a man. They didn't go to a certain area to become men by the society, of course. So it's more of a debate.
And there's a little bit in your character, there's a lot of, it seems, hopelessness. I mean, so I would love to know kind of how that is portrayed and how that develops within the play, and the friendship, and how that plays out ultimately.
Okay. First of all, I would like to describe on Tioyo's journey. Tioyo, he doesn't have parents. I would say he killed his father, and his mother abandoned him because of what happened in the past. So now the only family he has is Ntabeni's family. He sees Ntabeni as his friends, and he needs love from his mother's from Ntabeni's mother and Ntabeni's father. So he takes them as his parents. So Tioyo believes that when he goes to the mountain, everything that happens in the past will automatically change or will vanish. Like with the thing that he kills his father, that thing will vanish and people will stop seeing him as someone who's a murderer. So yeah, that's what I can say. And
it's also through that you were mentioning about DBV, etc., that comes in, domestic violence, etc., and gender-based violence, and that comes through that character and storyline. It's built through to which also defines your character. Is that past, correct?
I would also like to add something
Yeah.
on what he says. His character, he protected his mother from a violent man. That's being manly. That's one of the criteria, one of the requirements to be a man is to protect. It doesn't specify how you protect, it says protect. And he protected his mother from a violent father who's been abusing his mother. Finally, he lashes out, he protects his mother. Obviously, unbeknown to him, the mother changes minds, leaves him alone. He's left alone. And now he has to deal with what happened. He has to deal with the baggage of protecting his mother. So that's also another question. Was what he did not manly? It's also another question that comes through the fictional character that is Ndioyo. But it comes through another approach or alternate angle. We use killing in protection. Everybody is a killer. You just need to push them. And this is what he's going through.
I must say that when I read the translation, because that's when I could actually read the play, was when you sent the translation, and I was quite shocked about that, kind of how that played out, and that whole storyline about the mother leaving, her son behind, and he protected her. But now she's kind of saying, no, that's not. It was quite an interesting thing for me, and it's a. So there's a lot of complex kind of issues that is also linked to culture, but also linked to, I think, just individual kind of society, whether it is within a specific culture or not. And that's what's kind of fascinating that came through from, what I eventually read in English. It was just interesting, this side note, we sat with the translation, so we did a quick translation of it, and we sat and kind of cleared, and then I quickly realized, doing it, I can't do it without Spoo, because there's a lot that I don't, context-wise, understand, and also I realized that there's certain things that's idiomatic or is kind of a specific metaphor that I didn't understand. So I asked the aunt to sit and help me with it, and then Sabu came and we sat together and had to kind of work through it to make sure that what is there will kind of, in some sense, in a very quick effort, capture the essence of the play and culturally what you wrote, and that it makes sense, and that you don't reverse. So it's a little bit more time than we took to do it. Anyway, all right, I'm going to open up for questions, and I would obviously also love to hear kind of the idea of, in this case, using something like a translation, etc., to open up a play which was mainly presented as a play reading in this essence, so with very little action, which is before I go, quick question: staging. How do you see it as a full production? What kind of set? How do you see the?
Pity the director is not here. Is some? Oh, yeah.
Oh, the director is sitting there in the still up. Behind the subtitles. Come and sit here. So the question is just, when it goes to full production, like how do you see the set design? How do you see this being performed and staged?
Okay, thank you for that question. How I see the show on stage, in terms of the set and design, I do have a kraal on stage. In my mind, I do have a kraal on stage. Obviously, the show is happening in the Eastern Cape, where we have a lot of kraals, you understand. And the first conflict between Ndabeni, the son, and the father, it happens in the kraal, they were busy working in the kraal. So I have a kraal and I have a house on stage, which is where the conversation between the father and the mother happens. And we have obviously the yard. But I do have the all the design written down on how I see it on stage. So yeah.
So it's different areas that are represented.
Yes.
From this beginning, there's the different settings, and you change it with lighting to just shift the setting.
Correct.
Okay. Great. Okay. Opening up to audience. There we go, Jane.
It's not live, right? Are we live?
No.
Oh, okay.
It is, but
It is,
it's fine.
Okay, yeah, you can edit that part out where you.
I don't know
say,
which
'cause I'm
Jane.
gonna get into trouble. No. No, it's nothing horrible. It's just that. So I watched a show called Tau, which is about the mountain as well. I was in a show called Tabeng, which is about the mountain, and what took center stage for me is how taboo it is to even touch on the subject. And I think also this is just, I admire Xhosa people and their relationship with Ntabeni more than I admire my people, Sotho people. This is the part that you edit out. Because it's live. Oh my God! There's a demon in my head that's speaking. It's not me. But yes, but that's because I've realized that Xhosa boys, when they go to the mountains and they come back, they really do act like men. The way they carry themselves and everything. Like even when Xhosa guys come from initiation school that day, it's a celebration, it's beautiful. But my Sotho people, there's always somebody stabbing somebody. And it's a different meaning of what being a man is. For Xhosa people, is those respectable things, whereas for my people, is taking power, no matter what that means, even if it means being violent. But anyway, coming back to my experiences with being in a show about Ntabeni and watching some, I've realized that most of the times the writers always experience this thing of people making them feel like traitors in a way, because you are not supposed to talk about what happens in the mountain. And that thing stuck out for me when Papa said, I was like, yo, a show about the mountain. Do you ever have to find yourself defending your play and just really finding the balance? Because people will be like, you're not supposed to say what's happening in the mountains. But then we watched Tau, and then the same people are like, oh, but they didn't say enough about the mountain. Like, do you ever find yourself stuck between finding the balance of not saying too much? And do you somehow feel like your voice is kind of taken away because it's a taboo thing that you're doing?
Well, in 2019, I did a documentary titled Is It Culture? So, never published, by the way. The documentary was based on 4 women. They were all Xhosa women. They were all abused by men who call themselves men, of course. Now, the question was, is it culture that makes these men behave this way? So we were investigating. We went to Mfuleni, we went to Kukuletu, we went to Langa, we went to Kraaifontein. And in one of these locations, Tembelihle, the one who was our reporter asking questions, she was slapped, asking a question from a passersby man. But is it culture that makes men do this, blah, 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 blah. And the man, firstly, that guy is not speaking for all men, him specifically. The first thing the first way he reacted was to view her sexually. First of all, she's beautiful. I mean, it's you understand. So she viewed her sexually, and I mean, he blackmailed her about, why are you asking this question? You are selling your values. You are blah 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 blah. And of course, Tembelihle is an activist, so she knows how to defend herself and speak. She spoke back, and she was slapped. Fine. In my community, Kraaifontein, we were asking a few men there, and I remember my father came, and he supports me. He comes to me. We are in Blokombos where I live. He comes to me. He says, "You know that what you are asking is a problem, right?" I say, "Yeah, I know." Okay. And you are not afraid that you are going to be cancelled? Yeah, I know. And do you know that you are also going to be part of it because you support me? He says, "Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted to ask you, because I'm a bit afraid that we are actually going to be cancelled. Do you have plans of publishing it?" Yes, I do. And I become ambitious. I talk SAPC, I talk ETV, I talk all of this. Can you show it at a theater for a specific few people, and then you never talk about it again? So I sensed in him that he's older than me, he's more wise than me, he's seen things that I haven't seen. So he was overseeing the circumstances that might come from publishing this. Because of many circumstances, we were forced not to publish it. CPUT wanted us to publish it because they believed it was a great story. It was happening in 2019. There were a lot of homicides, statistics was shooting, skyrocketing. So it was a big topic, and it needed to be published for people to have this conversation. Never published. So what you're asking is taking me back there. That for the second time, I'm writing something that is having me dangling on a fence, really. But it's not really about that. It's my journey. I am trying to find myself. I am trying to find me as a human being, me as a person, me as a man, and at large me as a coexisting human being to other human beings. How should I react? How should I control myself? How should I compose myself and all of those things? So, even if it does happen, it hasn't happened for this play yet. I believe because it hasn't been showcased yet. Maybe it will happen when we are staging it. I don't know. But it hasn't happened. But even if it does happen, I think that's part of the job. I mean, you should expect these things. If it does happen, then I achieve the desired effect.
Can I ask you, this is might be a really stupid question, but are you referencing the mountain in the play? You don't actually, you don't go into any details,
It's the tip
right?
of the iceberg. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it, it's family dysfunctions, family conflicts.
Yes, but so it's a reference, but there's nothing that you divulge or anything. So my question then is, if it's only a reference, so is it that controversial just to reference it?
A quick example is me. You're my father. I have a sister. We're watching television, and the sex scene pops. Just kissing. French kissing. Obviously, as a father, you're going to react. We shouldn't be seeing that. And it's just a reference that will lead to a sex. We haven't yet got there. So it's sensitive like that in Chaucer. The minute you say mountain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. There's a comment here.
Beautiful, beautiful work. This is just an observation. Something that really intrigued me and what I really latched onto was the sense of trying to protect someone you love, and how that's counterpointed between the parents trying to protect the son, and how the son try to protect his mom, and just that juxtaposition of community with individual and how that plays. I found that so fascinating and beautiful, and I'd really like to see how that plays out, because you've got this individual that did the same act as what the parents are trying to do, and that outcome, I'd love to see that and know where that goes. So well done, well done.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, Henrietta.
I think this is fascinating in as much as that I've been dabbling a lot in my head about ritual and belief systems. And I believe in rituals. They're good, but they can also be bad. And I think what you're touching on here is amazing, and I love your angle, that it's the father that says, don't go to the mountain, because it's the fathers that say, go to the mountain. And it is such a profound message, and to really question, what does make me a man? Is it the simple thing of going to the mountain and coming back, and I don't keep the mountain in my heart to be a man? So I think it's powerful, and I love the fact that you don't delve into it. But and I'm very curious to see how things play out, and where you, as a playwright, end up with a message of ritual and what belief systems are there. Because I sometimes think rituals and that instill belief systems is what does change, and what does change us for the worse, and not necessarily for the better. So thank you. It's great, and you're brave. It's hard to hear that somebody says, I'm going to put myself and my story out there, and I'm going to take it as it comes. But within that, I salute you. I think it's amazing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Henrietta. Last question. I want to know, so this play is fully written, it's ready, you've had a play reading, you're here. What are the plans? Are there plans? What's happening to the play?
Through the play.
No. What's happening with the play? When are we going to see it? Is it going to, what do you need to get this on stage? Is it going to be performed here at the Baxter?
That's what we hope, to have it staged here at the Baxter. But the obvious, first of all, it's the obvious. The director spoke about the house, he spoke about the crowd. That's money. That's a lot of money. So we need to be financed. We need people that, like yourselves, people that believe in the play, that believe in the angle we are tapping into, in the message that we are trying to communicate, in the dialogue that we are trying to, provoke. We need people that will believe in the play, fund the play, and have it staged, because we are here. We are actors. We are ready to tell the story. We've already given ourselves. From last year, we've been trying to say, okay, this play is going to go like this, blah 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 blah. Now we are here. You understand? And we thank Baxter, because without Baxter, we couldn't have developed the play. It would have stayed in my head as a concept idea. But through Baxter, I was funded. The money that I'm talking about. I was funded to really write the play. I was given the time, given the resources. So we need resources. We need to be financed. We need right people to actually believe in it.
And who will? So that currently this play doesn't have a producer.
Currently,
that's what you're
no.
saying. So it needs a producer.
No, it needs a producer. It doesn't have a producer.
It needs a producer. There we go. All right. I really hope this gets staged. Thank you very much for participating.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Together. Thank you. Goed. Laaste toneelstuk van die dag is toneelstuk deur Lou Venter, Albatros. En ek dink Lou is hier. Ja, hy is hier agter my, mens kan hom nie mis nie. Lou, gaan jy iets voor die tyd sê? Nee. Dis alles reg. Dan gaan ek net hier staan en met jou tyd. Dis reg. Maak wat jou tyd. Alles reg. Ons kyk heerlik. Dit is 'n performance. Actors preparing, director and writer preparing. Kom ons praat gou, it would be interesting. I mean, what was the experience of actually having subtitles to understand? Or not? Of course. Ai. Ja, nou dis. Ja. Dit is maar hoe dit oor see ook gedoen word in verskillende Daai gaan julle nie pla nie, né? Die TV gaan julle nie pla daar nie. Seker.
That's fine. Right. Hallo mense. Die stuk wat ons vir julle uittreksel uit gaan wys, sy naam is Albatros. Ek werk al vir 'n paar jaar aan die projek. Ek wil nie te veel sê nie, maar dit gaan oor mans en trauma en al die kak wat daarmee saamgaan. Hierdie deel van die verhoog sal op die dag 'n werkswinkel space wees en hierdie deel van die verhoog gaan 'n hospitaalgang wees. So, dis omtrent al wat julle nou hoef te weet. Ek hoop julle geniet dit en dan chat ons na die tyd.
My naam is Abel en ek is alkoholist. So nervous. So ja, ek gaan nie regtig my war stories vertel nie. Sorry as dit is wat julle wil hoor. Ek dink dis meer belangrik wat met my hier gebeur het. In hierdie sin. Ek voel nog altyd anders. Ek het nooit my ma geken nie. Sy is net 'n idee vir my, weet soos 'n storie en ek het altyd al skaam gevoel daaroor wat weird is, maar jy weet, is wat dit is. Ja, my pa het nooit weer getrou nie. En hy het my alleen groot gemaak wat nogals amazing is. En hy hou nie daarvan om oor te praat nie. Hy like nie regtig om oor enigiets te praat nie, eintlik, jy weet, niks persoonliks nie, jy weet, net soos oor DIY wat op die BBC gebeur. So asof hy nie regtig goed voel nie. En dis wat ek gesoek het, voor ek hier uitgekom het, om niks te voel. Jy weet, ek was net soos van, wat ook al dit vat, ek soek die feeling, van niks nie. Pa, dis ek. Ek wil nie pla nie, maar ons was in 'n karongeluk, Pa, al 3 van ons in die Skyline. Ons was op pad terug van Woester af en toe kom ons om 'n draai en toe was daar net 'n ander kar en nee, Abel is okay. Hy's okay, maar Nadia's haar kop. Sy het seer gekry, Pa. Nee, ek weet nie. Ek wag nog vir die dokters. Ek weet nie. Nee, ek weet nie. Dis nie nodig nie, Pa. Okay, dis tweede vloer. Dankie, Pa. Ek weet nie regtig wat gebeur het nie. Jy weet, dit was nog altyd net soos van, jou ma was 'n wonderlike vrou, tragiese ongeluk, is wat dit is, jy weet, sy is te jonk dood en ek het haar half altyd gemis, jy weet, het ek haar nooit geken nie. En toe ek 12 jaar oud is, kry ek by 'n chommy se huis vir die eerste keer my hande op 'n half Jack brandy. En vir die eerste keer in my hele donderse lewe het ek anders gevoel. Okay gevoel. Vir die eerste keer, self warm. Lewendig.
Môre. Ja, dis ek. Wat? Wag. Zeg dat weer. Ja, maar... Oké. 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 Waar? Oké, kom.
Dis wat ek gesoek het daai aand, voor ek hier uitgekom het. Want dit is een, wat ook al het vat, ek soek daai feeling. Ja, 3 dae in die ICU, en 10 dae in die hospitaal, en ek onthou niks daarvan nie. Ek onthou fokkel. Shame, my arme ou body. Selfe hospitaal as my ma blijkbaar. En die ICU alleen het om 30k gekos, maar nou ja. OK. Eendag op 'n slag en ek kan nie nou eers daar worry nie. So. In elk geval, 10 dae in die hospitaal, reguit kliniek toe. En nou is ek hier.
Papa, waar is sy? Nadia, waar is sy?
Sy is nog in die teater.
En Abeltjie?
Die verpleegster het hom. Hy's OK, net 'n snytjie in sy voet. Sy voetjie, pa.
Toe nou? Jy moet nou sterk wees, ou maat. Ons moet bid.
Pa,
Wat sê hulle? Die dokters.
Weet nie, hulle dis een van 'n kat iets. Dis cat something.
Wat sê jy nou?
Dis 'n toets, dis 'n tipe toets, pa. Ek weet nie, dis nie, dis 'n cat something. Dis nie, ek weet nie, ek weet niks nie.
Kom sit.
Hulle opereer, hulle is klaar besig met haar kop. Sy druk op die brein en sy moet net OK wees.
Sy sal.
Ek weet nie wat gebeur het nie. Dit pak jy nou draai so net so voor jy oor die breë rivier gaan so aan die linkerkant. Daar was net skielik ligte, so 2 pare so bo in mekaar, seker flip en trok, ek weet nie eers nie. En toe ek weer sien toe rol die skyline en ek sien dit oor en oor. En ek het haar gesien vir 'n oomblik, soos ons begin rol het. Ek het so verbaas gelyk.
Liewe Vader. Waar is Abeltjie?
Wat?
Abel.
Wat?
Waar is jou seun, man?
Die verpleegsters het hom. Ek het vir hom Bokkie gebel by die trekkafee van die Tiki box af. Hy was in Woester. Hy was eerste daar voor die ambulans.
Ek sien.
Hy het eers gehuil met pa. Hy het selfs met die sny in sy voet uit. Het is vreemd, ek verstaan dit nie. Hy het eers gehuil nie. Toe pa het vir hom gaan soek.
Nee, sit. Hulle het hom ons. Jy wag ons vir die dokter. Wie is hy?
Hy is nog op pad. Hy is 'n blijkbaar 'n top ou, Goldberg.
Ek sien.
Wat?
Niks. Solank iemand weet wat ek doen.
En pa het vir Abel gaan soek.
Liewe genade, Benjamin, nee, ek sê ons sit. Ek sal gaan navraag doen as dit jou nou so pla. Wie iets drink?
Wat?
Koffie. Wil jy koffie of iets hê?
Nee, dankie. Ek wil niks drink nie, pa.
Nou ja, toe.
Dankie dat pa gekom het.
Ek gaan praat van die mense. Bliksem. Right. Right. Jy's wakker.
Ek is. Pa, laat hier binne. Is daar koffie? Is die eerste.
Pa, dis pa ernstig. Ja, ek is. Dis vars, was ek verkeerd met daai koffie nie? Moenie kom sukkel met my goeie byn.
Wow, okay. Okay. Pa, jammer, ek wou net op uitgehaat het. Ek wou net nie klaar se werk was gedrink het. Sorry.
Hey! Jy was hier in en vra vir koffie en ek gee jou my eie blyde koppie. Wat is jou probleem?
Ek het nie 'n probleem nie. Ek het net 'n light gesoek. Okay, relax, die koffie is nie die einde van die wêreld nie. Ek sal my eie koffie gaan maak.
Nee, ek sal jou koffie gaan maak. Hoekom ontspan jy nie?
Ek weet nie, my lewe is kak, want ek's alkoholist en ek's depressed en ek lewe op pille.
Okay. Vat dit net kalm vir 'n oomblik. Kom kyk hier.
Wat?
Ek wil vir jou iets wys. Kom kyk wat ek gaan bou.
Ek's okay, dankie.
Kom kyk net gou hier, man. Jy sal hoe lank terug van die hospitaal af. Is jy nie lus om iets te doen nie? Kom ons doen iets.
Boekrakke bou. Nee.
Dis nie 'n boekrak.
Pa, ek voel kak. Okay, ek voel kak. Ek wil nie houtwerk met my pappa in die garage speel nie. Is dit okay met jou?
Ja, dis okay, man. Dis net 'n vraag. Ek probeer net help. Drink jy jou pille? En nou?
Ja, dit fucking pille. Die pille gaan nie alles regmaak nie. Pa!
Hou net fucking op, man! Ek vra net 'n vraag. En van wanneer af praat jy so met my? Is dit net jou depressie wat jou die toestemming gee om jou pa soos 'n drol te behandel? Magtig! En waar was jou depressie laas jaar toe jy my nog soos 'n pa behandel het? Hè? Of het jy net depressie as jy elke oggend met 'n babbelas wakker word? Rek jouself reg, man! Almal voel partykeer af, Abel. Dit gee jou nie die reg om hulle af te kraak nie. Gaan drink jou donders aan pille en dan kom kyk jy na hierdie donders aan plan wat ek jou wil wys. Terwyl ons vir Ewen wag, dan gaan ons maar begin. Baie dankie julle en Lou. Jessie Lou, jy het ook gesê dit kom al lank aan wat jy besig is met hierdie toneelstuk. Ek dink jy moet net voor ons begin om in te delf in 'n klomp goeders in, gaan jy bietjie meer moet gee net oor die storyline asseblief. As jy kan, so go.
Okay. So die stuk speel in verskillende tye af op terselfdertyd. Hierdie werkswinkel deel van die storie is hedendaags, dis omtrent 'n jaar uit Benjamin en Abel se lewe saam, na Abel selfmoord gepleeg het. Die hospitaalgang is een nag 23 jaar gelede, dis terwyl Abel nog 'n baba is en dit is wanneer Benjamin in hierdie karongeluk was saam met sy vrou en sy kind. En die middel van hierdie, waar ek nou sit op die stoel, in die middel is natuurlik 'n AA-vergadering. En die twee stories speel parallel af. Hulle is natuurlik heeltemal ander tye en die een is 'n lang tyd, een is 'n nag, een is 'n halfuur. Maar die idee is dat al die stories al spieelbeelde van mekaar is. En tematies vloei hulle saam. En in hierdie stel hierso gedurende die vertoning word 'n boot gebou. So elke keer as ons terugkom na hierdie deel van die vertoning toe in die werkswinkel, het Benjamin nog 'n stuk van hierdie boot bygeblas. En so ons sal deur die vertoning sien hoe die boot vorm aanneem voor ons. En in daai deel, in die hospitaaldeel van die storie, sien ons hoe die nag verbygaan en uiteindelik is dit oggend en dan vind Benjamin uit wat met sy vrou gebeur het en dat sy oorlede is en dat hy nou hierdie kind self gaan moet grootmaak. So basies gaan dit oor mans, dit gaan oor die traumas wat ons vir mekaar gee, wat ons by mekaar erf en die gebrek eintlik wat ons het, veral ons wit Afrikaanse mans, ons het 'n gebrek aan ritueel, ons het 'n gebrek aan rites en hierdie storie is 'n poging van mans om vir hulle self ritueel te skep en rites te skep om op 'n manier saam te groei en om deur die trauma te beweeg. Hulle is natuurlik albei het verslawingsprobleme, albei het afstompingsprobleme, emosionele afstomping wat met hulle aangaan en dit is hierdie botsing van mense wat goed bedoel en wat goeie dinge vir mekaar wil hê, maar glad nie gereedskap het om daarmee te werk nie.
Die titel?
Albatros. So, die titel van die stuk het te doen met daai duality van, daar's die beeld van die albatros om die nek, maar die albatros word later in die stuk ook beskryf, want Benjamin dink hy wil die boot op 'n stadium die albatros noem, as 'n simbool van hoop. En dit gaan oor daai idee dat ons mekaar se albatrosse is, om mekaar se nekke, maar dat daar ook hoop in die storie is. Ek is nogal geneig as skrywer om verskriklik tragies te word en ek is uitgedaag deur Sylvain Strike wat my 'n bietjie terugvoer gegee het op die teks om te soek vir die hoop daarin. En dit het te doen met daai dubbelsinnigheid van hoop en desperasie op dieselfde tyd. Want ek dink nie die stuk bied vir ons antwoorde op wat dit beteken om 'n man te wees of hoe om die probleem van man wees op te los nie, maar dit werk definitief met die materiaal, jy weet, so dit is nie 'n eenvoudige antwoord nie.
Dit is definitief nie 'n komedie nie.
Wel, daar is definitief komiese oomblikke.
Nee, natuurlik. Ek wil weet die stuk, dat is baie interessant dat daar, ek bedoel thematisch, dat mens geweldig baie van jaar met die hele idee van die definisie van manlikheid en man wees en man, dit kom die nou baie sterk in 'n klomp stukke. Die stuk, hoe kom met jy waar kom die stuk vandaan vir jou? Ek bedoel, why did you start writing this? Wat was...
Maar ek skryf eintlik altyd, ek bedoel vir my filmstam byvoorbeeld was baie van dieselfde temas gewees. Dis maar persoonlik, ek is nie 'n verskriklike intellektuele persoon nie. Dit gaan vir my oor
dis nie vir my nie.
Wel, dit is 'n emosionele ding vir my. Dit gaan vir my oor wat dit vir my beteken. My persoonlike ervaring van die dinge wat ek in my lewe die grootste en die ergste mee geworstel het. Was issues omtrent man wees en hoe moeilik dit is en hoe ek sukkel om te weet wat die regte dinge is om te doen, hoe om 'n goeie pa te wees, hoe om 'n goeie broer te wees, hoe om 'n goeie seun te wees, hoe om emosies uit te druk, hoe om met my woede te deel. Jy weet, al daai dinge is hoe my verhouding, my ego werk in verhouding tot ander mans. En al daai probleme sit ek my hele lewe mee. Ek self het ook verslawingsprobleme en dit kom alles maar van dieselfde plek af. En so dis is waar die stuk gaan. Dit is baie persoonlik vir my. Dit is maar jy weet soos een van die ander skrywers vroeër gesê, dit is universele temas, maar ek bedoel dit is tog wat stories doen after all. So dit is universeel, maar dit kom van 'n baie persoonlike plek af en ek is okay daarmee. Dit is 'n storie, dit is nie autobiografies nie. Maar soos enige skrywer put mens tog uit eie ervaring op 'n manier.
Ek wil baie graag vir die akteurs vra, Robert en Ewen. Ewen glee my aan vandag. Nee, wat lekker is dat julle vars na teks kon kyk wat Obviously Lou werk nou baie lank daaraan. Julle kon dit lees en kortstondig dan nou en baie vinnig daar in inspring. Maar ek wil net so of julle indrukke daaroor kry. Wat is julle jy weet hoe was dit om met hierdie uittreksel te werk? Wat is julle gevoel teenoor die temas daar binne? Net 'n gedagte as jy wil, Eben. Of Robert.
Dankie, Eben. Ja, it was dit was ook dat terselfdertyd challenging want obviously mense lees goed raak en dit is ook 'n baie emosionele ding om die hele storie te lees en te sien waar die drukpunte is en mense relate daarmee en ek het baie sterk daarmee relate maar dit is ook vir my interessant om daai wisseling tussen die tragedie which is it's a tragedy right and om het teen te werk was 'n groot ding jy weet of deel van die gesprekke om hoop daarin te kry of om jy weet it's just people's lives rather than just making it this through the mud jy weet and trudge and through it jy weet and I think there's a beauty in showing it as it's just conversation between a dad and his son and jy weet the onderliggende goed aside at the end of the day that's just what it is jy weet there's 100 million things at play within 3 sentences jy weet back and forth maar dit is jy weet it's a conversation at the end of the day jy weet so dit was lekker om dit raak te lees en om daarmee te kan
ja, ek het is die ding aan. Ek het dit baie vinnig gelees, maar ek het dit 2 keer gelees. Yes. Goeie akteur. Maar ek dink daar's baie goed so jy het nou die Benjamin karakter wat ek nou gespeel het en dan sy seun Abel, maar dan het jy nou Benjamin se pa ook. Daai verhouding ontwikkel baie en ek dink die teks